All right, all right. Hey, guys. Welcome back. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on into a today's topic for the 15th. I'm going to do something just a little bit different here. Let's see what we got. Really nice to see you guys. Hi, Brian. Hi, Danita. So nice to see you, sweetheart. Always a pleasure, you guys. All right, so we've got a Knight of Wands. Let's see where this one's going to take us. We could have a day of passion. We could have a day of excitement. We could have somebody who's all kinds of lusty. Let me get one more out of this little mini deck here. We have the Lovers in the reverse. Okay. Well, that could give us, I'll show it up right too, but that could give us the idea that somebody has broken up with a lover and is like on the prowl. I'm ready for another lover. I don't choose my old lover. I'm looking for somebody else. My. What is this going to be about? Hi, guys. Hi, Chrissy, Catherine, Jeannie Vale, using my intuition. So glad to see you guys. Okay, so we have the devil. So we do have passion. There could also be, because I'm sorry, I'm getting a little energy of like frustration. Somebody's like, you know what? I'm done. I am fed up. I want some kind of good loving. If somebody's not picking me, gosh darn it, I want to go ahead and get to some other lover. I don't want to wait around anymore. But that's not true. And I say that because we got the Moon followed by the King of Cups. I don't want to just say, screw it, I'm done. I just want to go get somebody. Anybody will do. That's not really true. Deep down, what our character wants is either they want somebody to love or they want someone to love them. Okay. I think that that's so understandable though, right? Anybody who's been lonely at some point in time, at some point gets just fed up and is like, whatever, I'm sick of this. Justice card sideways. So we certainly do see possibly some Libra. We also, I'm sorry, I didn't mention it, but we could have Gemini, we could have Pisces. We could have, in general, some water or some fire as well, but strong Libra. And it's sideways for a reason. That means part of this is it's fair that this person thinks this way. And the other part of it is they're kind of, having a meltdown moment. And they're not being fair. We got a Page of Swords. They need to look a little closer at their actions, and they need to, this is just like basically we're hearing somebody who's fed up, who's frustrated. You know what? Whatever. I'm just going to go get with somebody. I don't even care who it is. That's not true, honey. You do care. Nah. Yeah, you do. So what is this really about? Tell me what it's really about. Because you do know there's more to this. I want the Queen of Pentacles. I want her to want me, and I want her to give to me. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. So you're mad, you're frustrated that you feel like the Queen of Pentacles isn't given to you. And you're hurt. And you're saying, she didn't pick me, so I'm going to go get with somebody else because I'm freaking lonely with the Hermit sideways. And I want her to be lonely without me. Okay, but good decisions are rarely made when we're mad. Good decisions are rarely made when we're hurt. That's just, I don't know if, has anybody ever done smart shopping if they go to the store hangry, right? You're angry, you're grumpy, you're hungry, you're tired. It's after work. You've had a rough day. You're exhausted. You didn't get to eat lunch. You only had, a little bit of cornflakes for breakfast. And now it's 5:30 and you're at the grocery store. Are you really going to be like, oh, I'm going to be real mindful and buy all the right ingredients for something nutritious? No, you're going to be throwing crap in that grocery basket. I deserve this. I'm having a whole bag of candy bars if I want. We don't make good decisions when we're grumpy. We don't pick the good food when we're hungry. When we need something, is when we need to pause and say, what is it that I'm really hungry for? What is it that I really need? Okay, I'm tired. I'm thirsty. Maybe tonight I don't want to cook dinner. Maybe tonight I want to do takeout. So maybe I'm not going to stop at the grocery store tonight at all. I'm going to do something that's like a healthy version of takeout. I'm going to take care of my needs. But first, let me identify them. Because I feel like this is kind of self-punishing is the way somebody feels on the 15th. We get that Four of Cups sideways. This has been ancient history and it still isn't gone. It still is disappointing. This is so heavy for somebody to carry. They're just tired of thinking about this, They want to not have this kind of energy anymore. The Justice again, upright. It's so unfair. I think our character is going to be able to pause for a moment and think about this. We all have sometimes meltdowns are the best things ever because that's when we finally go, I was sad about this. I was fighting it. I was trying to cope with it. I was sad though, really. I was unhappy about this. It feels really unfair. Why is everything unfair? We got the Justice card coming out twice. 10 of Wands, because they seem unbothered. She seems unbothered. She seems happy without me. And I think that's why I'm going to say this is a divine masculine having a meltdown. She seems unbothered. Yep. Temperance, Queen of Wands. In fact, she looks hotter than ever. And she seems so balanced and she's so happy. And I'm so unhappy because she is so good without me. First off, never assume anything. You don't know. She may not be so lighthearted and, fleet of foot and nothing bothers her. I mean, I doubt you've been walking around showing the fact that you're bent out of shape. We have the Universe, which is the World card here. I mean, that does say it's time for a new beginning. 7 of Cups, Ace of Cups. Look, it says she may have been deeply confused, King of Cups, by your behavior, and she may have had to turn towards self-love, because what other choice do you have? Hang on. We've seen them being frustrated on, the 15th, but hi, Dragon Fortnite. So good to see you. Hi, everybody. So happy to see you guys. You're so lovely. Thank you for hanging with me, especially so late at night or early in the morning, depending on where you are. Let me go back to them for just a second and say, darling, I see you're all frustrated on the 15th and you're hurting, but did you have anything to do with this demise of this connection in the past? 2 of Pentacles says they weren't real decisive. Maybe this was a long distance connection. We see the road and the map and, 2 different locations. Maybe it was like, look, I was trying, but I was juggling 2 different lives. Okay, but that could also be like, you mustn't juggle 2 different lives. 3 of Cups is upright. That can indicate that there's more than just the 2 of you in the connection. Look, I'm not trying to say, well, you ruined it, it's your fault. But it just says that if this person is really stressing and they're just basically like, hurt, that she seems, the Queen of Pentacles seems to have moved on and is just so fine and dandy without you. But then when I say, but what happened in the past? And they're like, well, I was juggling. This doesn't mean they were cheating, but it does say that how come you weren't just giving all of you to her? King of Pentacles, 2 of Cups sideways. He says, I was working. I was giving a lot maybe to work, but I wanted to give a lot to her. I wanted to be the King of Pentacles to the Queen of Pentacles, but you didn't give her all your emotions, which is kind of worse. Why do you have the 2 of Cups there sideways? You said I wanted to be the King of Pentacles to her Queen of Pentacles. I really loved her, but why is the 2 of Cups sideways? King of Wands upright. Hang on. Girl of Swords and the Chariot. I don't know. Maybe this person had a child and they were still, they had a child that was young enough that where they were like, I can't leave nearby where I live because I still have a child. So now I'm traveling all the time and I'm trying to, like, she can't be my number one because I also have a child. Okay, let me ask, if you had a child, did she know this? Because I do think that's pretty important. Was she aware of your full situation here? Because it seems like you're admitting you weren't giving her all of you, but that there was a reason. Justice card, she says, What I know is I was getting, played dirty. I wasn't getting what was fair. Now, I mean, maybe we could say, oh, see, here's the thing, a Queen of Pentacles, and you even called her the Queen of Pentacles upright. So you didn't say she was like selfish and jealous. A Queen of Pentacles upright would not be jealous. Queen of Pentacles upright would completely understand, like, well, of course, you have a child. Children of the world come before adults of the world, Same with our elders. We protect our elders and our children first. That's every adult. That is our responsibility first and foremost. She's not going to be jealous of that. She's a Queen of Pentacles. She's generous. So if she felt like something was unfair, that she was getting shortchanged, I got to say, I do not know if you made your scenario clear to her or if it just kept feeling like, boy, I'm not getting much. Okay, King of Cups, though, but Magician sideways. On her side, she says, I couldn't tell what they really wanted with me. I mean, did they tell me they love me? Yes, but then all the distractions. What are he's drinking all this alcohol over here. And she's saying, I really couldn't tell what his intentions were with me. He wasn't really manifesting with me. So she may have felt like he was either, although she says, like, I know he had emotion for me, and he's a good person and he has a lot of love, but I don't know what he intended with me. So at least on her side, and I will say this for a Queen of Pentacles, man, she needs to know what the plan is. A Queen of Pentacles is going to all be about the plan. What's the plan, Stan? Because she's a planner and a doer. Look, if you're going to plant a garden, you have to already know, okay, well, I can't go to Europe for the entire summer if I'm going to have a garden. So I have to plan, or I have to get a house sitter, and I have to think about what am I going to plant that a house sitter can easily tend to in my garden while I'm gone for 3 months. That's a Queen of Pentacles tends the garden. She plants the seeds. She does those things. She doesn't leave things, just randomly. She's somebody who needs to know the plan. So if they were not clear about what their plan was, and I would say that is true, they were not clear about their plan, although they claimed that they were, but only within reason, because in fact there was, they wanted to be with her, but with the Two of Cups sideways, they were still withholding a certain amount of connection. And it's because they had other things to take care of, which I still think could be like their child. But even if their plan was like, I'm going to be with her full time at some point, but I have to be there near my child. That shouldn't have been hard to like explain or have the two of them on the same page and the two of them making, like, she should have been brought into it, but it almost feels like he was separating her off and not really fully letting her into his heart. She would notice that, she would absolutely notice that there's something missing. So it's like, you didn't really make her feel very stable. Would you already admit it? Because you already had that Two of Pentacles. King of Coins. Here's what she wanted. I didn't know if he really intended to be my King of Pentacles. As much as he said, well, I want to, but I'm not going to give her all of my attention, nor necessarily even give her the full. Can I go back to you for a second? I feel like I missed something there. What is the deal with the Girl of Swords? The reason I kept saying, did he have a child, is because, that can be a Page of Swords, which that's a baby of the deck. Okay, we have an Empress and a baby. So I'm going to say, if you were married to somebody, or maybe, this says married, not divorced. This is upright, so we got to read the cards as they come out. You got no business being bent out of shape that a Queen of Pentacles hurt your feelings, won't be your lover if you was married and had a child and were given the Queen of Pentacles. Some of you, but never all of you. No, well, of course she's going to feel like, yeah, this is not okay. Did you consult the Queen of Pentacles and ask if she would enjoy to be a side dish who gets maybe a quarter or a third of your energy? Did you consult with her? Nine of Swords in the reverse. Sweet. Love that song. We get the Two of Wands. We get the Woman of Swords sideways. It does not look like they had a big old convo here, does it? Two of Wands was like, I was trying to paint the life that I wanted to have and paint the idea that I kind of told her No, you did not. You told her half of a story, which is why you also only gave her half of your heart with the Two of Cups sideways. Now it makes sense. Okay, so their argument, which is a very flimsy argument, if I were to weigh in, which of course I always have to weigh in on my little stories here, but um you were trying to save her stress by keeping her on a need to know basis, painting a pretty picture to keep her out of your dark forest life. No. That painting isn't real flowers. The forest is what's real, right? You need to let her see the whole forest. You don't paint a pretty picture for her and say, "Well, she knew part of it. I just didn't tell her the whole truth." Oh, no. Okay, so first off, I'm going to officially remove your right to have any gripes or sorrows that poor me, I deserve to go out and find somebody else to love on me because I'm allowed to be so hurt that the Queen of Pentacles seems fine without me. You seem to be, understand now why we have the devil here. I'm sorry, but I am totally going to say this person, no. Mama Kate's having none of this. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. I usually call myself Sassy Kate when I can't hold my tongue and I come busting in. I always say my alter ego is this loud, like I always picture myself riding on a motorcycle. It's really loud and I come busting in, make all this noise and shout something and then ride off again. And I always feel like that's my alter ego when I get irritated with the character because I'm like, no. We got a Ten of Swords and we got the Nine of Cups sideways. Well, that's exactly what she said. That's what she said. No, we're done. You are being gluttonous. You are trying to make yourself happy, which is why I see the Queen, or excuse me, the Justice card. She actually had to break it off with you completely because you were trying to have your cake and eat it too. Or at least that is the way it came across to her. Now, of course, there could have been other sentiments and there could have been, other mitigating components to the story that we don't see. But I will still say, I get it. I get why she would have put an absolute ixnay on the X-yay. Sorry. We got Justice in the reverse. She's like, it's the only way I can make it right for me. Otherwise, I'm going to go round and round and round in my head and wonder what is going on with them. Why are they painting a pretty picture for me, giving me half of their love, keeping me on some weird need-to-know basis? I know they're not telling me everything. Yeah, they kept a pretty darn big secret. And I think it was driving her crazy, trying to sort it out. So she said, no, I don't need to put myself through this. I won't put myself through this. No more stress from me. I just won't deal with you. Keep your secrets, keep your stress. So she made it right for herself by stepping away from them and turning into herself and saying, I need to give myself some self-love. So let me just ask this. On the 15th, if they start out being so bent out of shape, she's mean, she won't love me, she won't let me be in her life, and that hurts me, and I want some other lover because I'm lonely. My question is, where's your wife? You had a wife over here. Did you forget that? I'm sorry. I'm only laughing, not because it's funny, but because I'm trying to make light of something. Four of Cups. They're just steeped in regrets. What is the regret? I really am asking, what happened to the Empress in your life with the child? 10 of Wands. King of Cups sideways, Queen of Wands sideways. This person has a weird ability to compartmentalize because you notice how they're dodging and they're like, look, all I care about is that I really loved that Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Wands person, really loved her. And I have a bunch of regrets about stuff from the past. But I'm asking, but the whole reason this thing blew up in your face is because you seem to have not been giving your all, nor the full truth to that Queen of Pentacles, and now you're bent out of shape that she seems to have moved on and appears to be happy without you and is finding her balance again. But I'm asking, has anything in your life changed? Two of Cups. They just keep saying, yeah, I want to give her all of me this time. Not the Two of Cups sideways, but the Two of Cups upright. She's my person. But what about your other person or your other, let's say, responsibility? Ace of Cups. No, see, I love her. I'm sorry, I keep asking and asking, and I'm not getting a message about the Empress with that Nine of Wands. I don't know. This really makes me think that we have somebody who is able to push stuff to the back of their mind and be like, yeah, that's my stressful thing that I don't want to talk about. First off, I'm just going to say this. No, if there is a child, and we saw the baby in the Empress's arms, no baby is ever an inconvenience. Babies are beautiful. Babies are tiny people. So don't you tell me that's just a stressful thing and be talking about a little human. Oh, Mama Kate again. Let me change and consider it in a different light, though. Maybe the Empress is a mother figure. Maybe they are the baby in that Empress and baby picture. And maybe they were not admitting that, because they seem like so unwilling to talk about this. It could be because this is actually a card of spying. It doesn't mean it's a card of a child. And normally I would never read this just straight up as like, oh, it must be a child. It's just because there was a little girl with, little bows in her hair, and she's got all these gems. And so I was like, oh, okay, so maybe they have a daughter, maybe they have a child. But in truth, this could be maybe they are continuously watched over by an overbearing mother who is loving but also quite controlling. And that could explain why they can only give her part of their heart, because Mama, even the fact that I never call myself Mama Kate, that's the first time I've ever done that. So maybe I was popping up with something that was supposed to be in here. Is it their mama? Is that why, maybe a too controlling, even suffocating helicopter parenting, well, my mama always is who has the majority of my heart. And that's why I can only give, it almost feels then that she was their secret, because mama wouldn't have approved, or maybe they're embarrassed and they're like, I don't want to explain, how kind of almost immature I feel having to kowtow to a mother figure that watches my every move as a full-grown adult, wants to know who I'm dating, wants to know what's going on. If they were basically juggling the life that they wanted to have as a free individual and the life, I don't know, were they half living at home sometimes? Is that what the secret was? It may not have ever been. Honestly, that is making way more sense to me, because I'm like, why do you keep saying that you don't have to say anything at all about, a wife and child? But if it's about their mama, that's what it was. And that's why they keep saying, no, I am ready to give my whole heart to that Queen of Pentacles. I love that Queen of Pentacles. I was very wounded. I was really stressed. I'm pushing that to the back. I don't care anymore. Somebody else's opinion isn't important, meaning mama's opinion isn't important. I'm so sorry, but when a character is not being forthright, it's very hard for me to get the answers, because they have been dodging, to the point of painting a pretty picture to hide, the dark forest, telling a Queen of Swords only half of what she'd need to know, ignoring every question I have, and being so frustrated and so bent out of shape. Now it makes so much more sense why we have that Justice card all over the place. They feel like it's unfair, even if it was them doing it to themselves. Why did I kowtow to a parental figure to such an extent that I was keeping it secret that I was madly in love with this, Queen of Pentacles? Why did I cheat myself out of a relationship with the person I loved, all to be because all those regrets that they've got, it's and being able to kind of shirk it off and say, I don't care anymore. I was like, well, you kind of have to care if you have a baby and a wife, but that's not what this is. It's more, I think it's the mother. Okay. So you blew a relationship with the Queen of Pentacles because you were keeping a mother figure as that's my first priority. Look, as much as I know I already said it is our responsibility to take care of our elders and our babies. Yes, but not to be ruled. Having a responsibility to care for someone does not mean that they then become the primary focus to where we can have an actual life of our own and love another human being. I mean, there has to be, in between those two, you have responsibilities in life, but you also have a responsibility and a duty to live your life and love who you love. So within that, I just don't think this person had balance. I think they were trying to juggle, and the juggling was making it so they were shortchanging this romance. Okay. So I feel like that makes more sense. We have a 5 of Cups. Because here's the thing. They're the ones sitting here feeling so lonely because they blew it with the person they wanted. Now, the thing is, though, what I can't stand about this story still is that instead of saying I made a mistake, I actually feel like I was not putting the right emphasis on the partnership that I really wanted to have for myself. Their reaction is, and now she's fine without me, so I should go get with somebody else because she doesn't want me, so let me go out and find somebody else to sleep with. That does not sound very mature at all. That sounds like you never gave your 100% to the person you loved, which meant they, of course, had to walk away from you. You also didn't tell them the situation. And now, kind of like a temper tantrum kid, you want to kind of do something rude. And I mean, way to blow the whole chance of even reconciliation is what it feels like, if that's what they're going to go out and do. But I don't know. I mean, what do I know? It just, that's how it feels. I would definitely say they're sitting in the toxicity, but it also feels very like a petulant child having a temper tantrum to me. Ace of Swords is sideways. They're definitely not seeing this with any kind of clarity on the 15th. So they're just, look, I get it. They're sad. They're upset. A bunch of problems. They're lonely. They feel particularly wounded that she seems to be fine without them. But my thing is, if you didn't do right by the connection, and you know this, and you'd like to do right by it now, why is your approach not to go and talk to the person that had to actually walk away from you because you weren't giving them adequate attention? Why would you not try to fix it by doing the right thing? Why would you choose instead to say, well, I'm just going to go get somebody else, keep me warm at night? What's your thought process on that? We see that the thought process is murky because of that Ace of Swords being sideways. 9 of Cups, they just want to indulge themselves. To me, it looks like the Queen of Pentacles maybe made the right choice in moving on. Because if it doesn't feel like this person takes any responsibility for their own behavior, even though they know what they did. But it looks like their knee-jerk reaction is, I'm going to go get myself a bowl of ice cream, or in this case, give myself somebody to keep me warm at night. But it feels like their knee-jerk reaction is, I'm unhappy, so I should get something that'll make me happy. And I guess that's why I'm just like, whoa. Page of Swords. They have a lot more to think about, a lot more growing up to do, a lot more that they need to maybe realize about themselves and about partnership and about relationship. And maybe why did they in the first place let their connection like to a mother figure become so huge that they would actually, keep like the love story that they want to have some kind of like secret that they're juggling and keeping at a distance and all of that. None of this feels mature and like it was ever on the up and up. So I would say then this relationship would have been doomed, because how are you going to keep a relationship that you want to be in love with somebody so much so that you're like, I want to be a King of Pentacles to a Queen of Pentacles, but I have to keep that away from mom. So I'm going to live sometimes with mom and sometimes with my Queen of Pentacles. Like that's not gonna, why not just be upfront and say, like it or not, mom, this is my life. I love you and I'll be there for you when you need me, but you have to accept that I'm an adult making my own choices. Like, it doesn't seem like they ever did that. It doesn't seem like they're doing it now. It doesn't seem like they have yet realized that if their knee-jerk reaction to all of this that has played out is to just go randomly get with somebody for the night, I would argue they are a page still. Um, and they haven't really looked at their own actions and the fact that they built the mess that they are now in. Even their own sadness. You did all this yourself through your choices. This doesn't mean this person's bad. Not at all. It's, if anything, maybe it's hard for them to like have some clarity because there's been too much outside influence, like a suffocating kind of love, from that parental figure, and they haven't seen themselves. We have the Empress. The Empress may have had the very best of intentions. She may still have the best of intentions. She could be a very loving, very wonderful mother. Maybe it's they who haven't yet cut themselves from her apron strings to a certain extent to be able to choose what they're going to do in life. Why do they still look like a kid? Why do they keep coming out like a kid every time we see the mother? So I would say maybe it's actually them clinging to the mother figure, wanting the mother figure's approval, while also sometimes wanting to be an adult. Maybe that's what that Two of Pentacles really indicated, huh? I want to be an adult, but I never want to leave home. So how do I get to do both? I want, mom to do the things for me that she always did, but I also want a relationship with the Queen of Pentacles and have her think I'm really wonderful. Yeah, this is an interesting dynamic for sure. Okay, that got way longer and way deeper than what just today's topic should be. I'm sorry. I feel like I can't zip it tonight. We keep getting these epic popcorn chomping storylines, but I don't really know where that leaves us other than we kind of got a little peek at where somebody's at. Can we, since this is so long already, let's just go ahead and say, universe, do you want to say what the big message is here? The Queen of Swords along with the Two of Cups. As complicated as this one was, the big message does say, for what it's worth, even if they weren't super mature, they actually loved this Queen of Cups, and this Queen of Cups is like, or excuse me, Queen of Swords. This Queen of Swords felt a bond to them. Remember, she was, when they didn't tell her the full story, she was a Queen of Swords sideways, but she's also known as the Queen of Pentacles in this story. Life force energy upright. There's something about her getting the truth anyway. And this might be one of those things where it's like, I know they really did want to be with me. I know that. So I'm going to take that as the win and say, maybe they just weren't ready for what a real grown up, 3D relationship is, even though they did love me. The emotion was there, even if the maturity wasn't. I think maybe that's the best way I could say this. And if that's the takeaway message, it's actually giving her a lot of peace. It's actually healing her heart if she was brokenhearted over this. It's hard to walk away from somebody where it's like, I love you, you love me, but where's the maturity here? Why does this exist in the 5D, but we can't get it right in the 3D? Where are you? And it's like, well, they're still juggling being a kid, being their mother's child and not seeing themselves as the queen's king. You have to see yourself primarily as, I'm a queen's king. And then, I'm now the protector of my elderly parent or my aging parent, or, the person that birthed me and my elder who I still honor. Instead of saying, first, I see myself as like, I'm mommy's, little boy or little girl. If that's the way they first identify, I could see why that would be a problem. And I just think that the big message here is, I think that the Queen of Swords was like, I think I figured it out. They loved me in theory, and they loved me for reals too, but it exists up here in the ether. They didn't love me the way you would need to be mature enough to also be with me in the 3D, and it's the two of us building. But they did love me. I know that. But honestly, it feels good to know that part of it. They weren't ready for maybe the rest of what a real life is made up of as an adult, but it doesn't detract from the fact that I know that they loved me. But again, emotions are one thing, reality is a whole nother kettle of fish. I think that that's actually really soothing, and that explains a heck of a lot. And it's not to insult her, not at all. It's not like she wasn't good enough. It's not like they wanted somebody else. They weren't actually hiding a secret family. Well, they were hiding where their mentality was. And it's weird because I think that they kind of know this about themselves, but they're also still not ready to fully grow yet. So, all right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Jeannie Vale, thank you so much. You are so incredibly generous. Thank you, babe. You're so kind. Do we have a final message here just for the queen? The sun. Honestly, there is no sorrow in this. In fact, I think she can move on very lighthearted from this and say, huh, you know what? That was the extent of what we could have shared in this lifetime. That's wonderful. And I will be very happy, and I will move on with no regrets, and I will move on, and I will fall madly in love with someone else. There could be a Leo on the horizon, but you see that the wind is through the horse's mane. And, obviously we're going into the year of the horse next. So I could really see this being a very joyful year because I don't think she's hung up on him anymore. I think she can take the love story for what it was and say, they did love me, and I know that. But I also understand that the love existed in theory and in thought and in emotion, but not necessarily in their ability to be mature and act on it. That's okay. You know what? There's no insult there. I'm not wounded over this. In fact, maybe this is kind of one of the happiest, most lighthearted perspectives I think I've ever seen. So if that is the breakthrough that she is having on the 15th, that is a beautiful breakthrough to have. And maybe ultimately this story was more about how this whole thing has played out for the queen, even though I didn't see it that way at the beginning. I thought it was all their story. I thought it was all their behavior. But really it was just so a queen could understand their behavior. And honestly, she's not bothered by it at all. She kind of feels revved up and joyful, and she could have a stellar day on the 15th with a real, comforting realization like, they did love me. I know that. And somehow that makes it okay. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave this one here. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry this got so long, everybody. It's great to see you all. Elia Cara, thanks for being here. Ramon, hi, honey. Rebel, such a delight to hang with you again tonight. Dragon Fortnite, thank you for everything, babe. And Gabriela Ramondo, thank you so much. Amen to that. Yes, definitely. Let's hope for the best this year. Always. Chrissy, thank you, babe. Zion's Gamming, thank you. Hi, Irma. CDW, and thank you again so much, Jeannie Vale. You were so generous, hon. Using my intuition, thank you, babe. Spiritually Awakened, good morning to you in the UK. All right, everybody. I'm going to bounce on out, and I will see you guys again officially more tomorrow. Tribes to go. Hi, honey. How are you doing, Rhonda? Lanier Maya, thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody. Sweet. Always appreciate you. Brave Pink Hero Green. Hi, honey. My Planet 740. Awesome to see you. Right back at you. Thanks for hanging. All right, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Lauren Co. Carol 707. How are you, Carol? Wonderful to see you. And Catherine, thanks again, hon. Denise and Brian. All right, I'll see you guys on the morrow, as they say in Shakespeare. All right, until then, sweet dreams or have a great day. Bye.